Hola, buenos días. Decidí decirles otro cuento de Navidad, ya que todos están de vacaciones. Am, Así que hoy les voy a decir el cuento de la piñata. Tengo varios libros. Tengo El piñatero, The Piñata Maker. Tengo varios libros, como les digo, pero les voy a enseñar unas páginas de este cuento de un señor ya grande que hace sus piñatas con cosas antiguas, con cartón, con planchas de antes para detener el papel. Él va a hacer, a ver si pueden adivinar, va a ser una piñata con alas y un cuello largo, un pescuezo largo. A ver qué se creen que va a hacer. Y este señor, la razón que se las quería enseñar es que este señor hace las piñatas antiguas, como las que hacían antes con el jarro de barro, como pueden ver aquí. Ahora de hoy en día se usan los globos porque los jarros así ya no se usan tanto porque también pues están algo peligrosos. Cuando le pegan a la piñata se puede quebrar y caer en la cabeza al que le está pegando. Aquí están viendo como él unta el jarro y le deja abierto arriba en la boca del cantarito para ponerle los dulces y ya le está agregando el cuello del ganso. Así que pueden ver aquí cómo él está cortando el papel con las tijeras de olitas para que se vea como pluma. Y él está pintando con una brocha el piquito y luego está atando las alas al cuerpo del pájaro. Creo que es una garza, este libro está en inglés y en español. Si tengo tiempo se lo leo, pero nada más le quiero enseñar qué bonito hace él su piñata. Con el jarro hace su gansito. Y también va a ser una tradicional redonda con los picos como las que yo les he mostrado para que sepan cómo él hace también las estrellas. Él usa cartón, no periódico, así que hay muchas maneras de hacer. Miren cómo él dobla el cartón para que se pueda sentar y atar bien a la piñata. Y él usa su engrudo cocido. Cuando uno cose el engrudo, no se mancha tanto el papel. Ahora él está adornando su piñata. Aquí poniendo los colores y luego ya la termina. Es muy bonita su piñata de las antiguas. Y aquí hizo otros diferentes, una zanahoria, un changuito, un mono, que pueden ver. El piñatero sabe hacer cualquier piñata de cualquier forma. Y aquí están las cosas tradicionales que se le ponen en México, de las que yo me acuerdo que les he platicado. La caña, la fruta, también se le agrega dulces, cacahuates. Este tiene manzanas, como les dije, caña, naranja y otras frutas chiquitas que no sé cuáles y también cacahuate. Entonces ya pueden divertirse en el cumpleaños o en las posadas. Espero ustedes vayan a YouTube para que vean cómo yo les enseñé a hacer la piñata de picos, de estrella, para que la puedan quebrar y se diviertan así en una de sus posadas en su casa, con su familia. Así pueden ver y divertirse con su familia inmediata, la que está en su casa. ¿Se acuerdan que tienen que tener precauciones? Entonces este es el piñatero de Piñata Maker. Después se lo leeré, quizás, porque hay varios cuentos. Está también la colchita de piñata quilt, Magda's Piñata Magic, que este también creo que es en español, y Piñata Party, que tiene ideas e instrucciones cómo hacer la piñata. Y aquí yo saqué ideas donde puse las instrucciones para repartir en mi clase cómo hacer la piñata. Y luego saqué otros historia de la piñata y cómo hacerla. Esta también la incluí en mi escrito, mis instrucciones que también tengo. Si la quieren, pueden escribirme y yo se las mando para que hagan si es que necesitan instrucciones. Estas son las instrucciones que yo tengo, que con mucho gusto se las mando si me mandan un correo. Nada más vayan a mi webpage y allí pueden ver que está mi conexión a mi YouTube, a mi Instagram, a Facebook, y ahí pueden encontrar lo que les estoy diciendo. Bueno, hoy les voy a leer uno de mis cuentos favoritos de la piñata. Les voy a contar este chiquito para los niños chiquitos que necesitan algo más sencillo. Esta es La Piñata, por Enriqueta Dadacio. Esta piñata es de este monito. Parece un payasito, pero quién sabe. Vamos a ver. El papá de Lupita, la piñata llenó con dulces globos y juguetes de color. Entonces Lupita va a tener una piñata. De la rama del árbol la piñata colgó. Lupita, muy contenta, a sus amigos llamó. Este libro tiene algo de rima en el texto. Parece que Lupe cumplió años. Todos en el círculo gritaban con ardor, dale, dale fuerza, y la piñata se rompió. Es muy divertido las piñatas. Espero ustedes se den tiempo de quebrar una o que les traigan una para una de sus posadas. Dulces, globos y juguetes cayeron alrededor. Lupita y sus amigos los recogían con furor. Entonces corren todos a agarrar todos los que puedan. Luego el papá de Lupita la piñata bajó. Ya queda nomás un pedazo de la piñata y el papá ya la recoge. Lupita, ya muy cansada, a sus amigos dijo adiós. Entonces se acaba el día, un día lleno de emoción, de actividades. Ya todos cansados se regresan. Y Lupita, feliz con su piñata, lo que quedó de la piñata en su cama después de tener un cumpleaños con una piñata. Así que las piñatas, espero que aprendan a hacerlas, padres, para que puedan divertirse con sus hijos cuando cumplan años, para la Nochebuena, para el 5 de mayo, cuando quieran. Entonces ahora este es uno de mis favoritos cuentos. Pancho's Piñata. Lo voy a leer en inglés porque está en inglés. Y luego Me tomo una pausa y luego se lo leo en español, uno de mis favoritos. So I'm going to read this story in English, take a little pause, and then I will come back and read it in Spanish, interpret it in Spanish. Pancho's Piñata, por Sefran Cernecki and Timothy Rhodes. Ilustraciones por Stefan Cernecki. Okay, so one of the authors is the illustrator of these beautiful pictures on this book. Let me take the sleeve off so it doesn't get in the way. Okay, so here's this beautiful illustration. An enormous cactus, bristling with spines, grew in the center of the village of San Miguel. The cactus was much older than anyone in the village, and very likely older than the village itself. On Christmas Eve, everyone in the village dressed up in their finest clothes to join in a procession to reenact Joseph and Mary's long ago search for lodging. Heading this posada, as a procession was called, was a little boy dressed as an angel. Behind him, carried on a small platform, were painted clay figures of Mary seated on a burro and Joseph walking beside her. So this is a pilgrimage, la peregrinación. When the procession finally entered the square, the villagers gathered around the nativity scene set up beside the old cactus. A little clay figure of the Jesus child was laid in its cradle. Then all the villagers rejoiced with singing and dancing. Just before midnight, the boy who was dressed as an angel began to sing. See the little boy? Thank you. The happy sounds of his song rose above the old cactus and disappeared into the quiet dark of the night. On this particular Christmas Eve, a small star listened to the merriment below. It was so enchanted that the sweetness of the singing that it decided to come closer in order to hear better. So see this star flying in, wanting to hear the beautiful song of that evening. I have to remind you that today you could see the nativity star right after sunset, I understand. This happens every 800 years, so something that you might want to do with your children, parents, so that they can experience watching this beautiful, uh, beautiful star in the sky, the planets aligning, Saturn and Pluto, I believe. Down it sped out of the sky, faster and faster toward the village festivities below. Just as it thought it was close enough, the star felt a sharp prick. The little star was impaled on one of the sharp spines that grew near the top of the cactus. Help, help, cried the little star as it struggled to be free. Help, help, it cried again, but no one could hear it over the sounds of the band playing. As the church bells chimed midnight, the little star watched as one by one the villagers disappeared into the church. Finally, only one person remained in the square, the little boy who was dressed as an angel. He had a pair of paper wings tied to his back, and he carried a wooden shepherd's staff that had a dove carved on its end. His name was Pancho. You see Pancho right there with his staff right here on the side. The little star took a deep breath and called out again as loudly as it could, "Help me!" Pancho heard the faint cry and stopped to listen more carefully. What do you think Pancho's going to do? He's dressed as an angel and has a little staff. Look what he's going to do with his staff, with his baston. "Up here," the star cried out. Up here, it said again, until Pancho realized that the cries were coming from the top of the cactus. "What are you doing up there? Who are you?" Pancho asked as he reached up with his wooden staff. He poked and waved the staff about until his arms hurt, but he could feel nothing. The starlight was now so faint that it was barely visible again against the night sky. Just when he was about to give up, Pancho's staff stuck the cactus in such a way that the star was knocked free of the sharp spine. So see how the star is blue? Because it was getting weaker. That's what the word faint is. It was just getting weaker and weaker from being stuck up on top. And then when Pancho hit it just right, the star burst up into the dark sky, leaving a trail of shimmering stardust that drifted quickly and quietly down to earth. Some of the dust settled on Pancho. You see Pancho right here? Some of this dust came floating down and landed on him. As he gazed up at the pale twinkle of light, he felt warm and happy. He had been given a wondrous gift. What could that gift be? Could it be something nice since Pancho saved the star? Let's find out. As the years passed, but his happiness remained with him. Even though Pancho worked very hard and he was poor, he was content with his life. Every night he thanked the little star. So here is Pancho after many years. He's old now, not rich in money and things, but he was happy. He was content. And every night he would thank the star for his happy life. One night near Christmas, as Pancho lay in his bed, watching the stars through the window, he had an idea. He pulled himself out of bed and stumbled in the dark to the kitchen cupboard. Behind a sack of corn flour, he found the pouch that contained the few coins he had managed to save. "I too can bring wondrous gifts," he said. So there's Pancho. What do you think he's going to do with his savings? Remember, he's poor, but he's willing to spend his money to make people happy. What do you think it's going to be? Does the title give you a hint? What do you think? I think I know. Early the next morning, before the first rooster had crowed, the old man set off to market. He bought toys and fruits, nuts and candies, glue and cardboard and colored tissue paper, and ribbons. He could hardly carry all of his purchases home. What is he going to make with all his beautiful things? Look at all that he bought with his savings. Mm. On the corner of the kitchen was an old clay pot that Bunch had been saving for a special occasion. He dusted it off and set it on the table. So he's going to make the old-fashioned piñatas from long ago with a clay pot. Not a balloon like I do them or like a lot of people do them nowadays. Some people make them out of carrizo, that bendable cane kind of a plant and shape and give the piñata the figure that they desire. The old man was excited now. He cut up the cardboard and the tissue paper. Then he made tall cones from the cardboard and glued them to the clay pot. Next, he covered each of the cones in clay with a colored paper and tied ribbons on the tips of the cones. So he's making a star piñata, just like the one Ceci picked out. But a little bit different because each piñata is unique. When he finished the clay pot had been transformed into a colorful star as beautiful as the one in the night sky. Can you make a connection with Ceci's star in the sky? This is kind of magical. This is kind of cool. He filled the star with all the toys and fruits and nuts and candies and then glued down the lid over the small opening he had made. As he marveled at his creation, he wondered what to call it. He remembered that the traveling merchant who had sold him the clay pot had told him wondrous tales about it. He couldn't remember the tales, but the name Piñata came to his mind. So that is what he called his wondrous gift. So it sounds like this story is telling us that Pancho invented the first piñata, because he even named it. I guess, what do you think he's going to do with it? Early that Christmas Eve, the Christmas right before Christmas, on the last day of the Posadas, on the 24th, Pancho took his star to the village square and hung it on a rope that he had suspended across the square. One end of the rope was left hanging to the ground. That evening, as the posada entered the square, the villagers were amazed to see the beautiful colored star hanging there. As everyone sang and danced, the old man gathered all the children in a circle beneath the piñata. So here is Pancho hanging the piñata in the village square, where people will come by to go to the church for Misa de Gallo, the midnight mass. One at a time, and each in a turn, he tied a blindfold around the children's eyes, placed a long wooden stick in their hands, spun them around and around, and told them to try to hit the piñata with the stick. Most of the time, the children flailed at the air as Pancho pulled the rope to make the piñata dance up and down and back and forth. The children laughed and screeched at their clumsy efforts to play Pancho's game. Look at what pretty illustration with the kids having a grand old time with their piñata. So Pancho is given the gift of joy and gratitude for his happy life, even though he doesn't have a lot of money. You don't have to be rich with money to be rich in your life, like being happy and content and being healthy. Suddenly, one of the children struck the piñata just right, and with a loud cracking sound, it broke open and showered its gift on the children below. There was a great scramble to catch the prizes, and soon pockets were bulging with treats. And the children told Pancho this was the happiest Christmas they had ever known. Look at this beautiful, beautiful illustration of the kids scrambling to get their treats. When we do the piñatas and these cones fall out, kids use them as a little pocket to save their candy in. That's always fun. When the villagers had disappeared into the church for midnight mass, Pancho sat down beside the cactus. The star cast its pale light on the weary old man and gazed up at it fondly. Well, little star, he said, I think I have passed on the wondrous gift you gave me so long ago. The little star gathered up all its energy and shone as brightly as it could to show its approval. As the old man watched the star grow more brilliant and settled itself directly on the cactus. Well, well, muttered Pancho, you really are the Christmas star. Look at that. So the cactus becomes the Christmas tree with a star at the top. It says here from the author that the tale of Pancho and his piñata is so old that no one knows whether or not it is true. Yet to this day, on Christmas Eve, the children of San Miguel, maybe it's San Miguel Allende, that's the place I want to go see. It's so beautiful. The children of San Miguel gathered beside the old cactus in the village square for to free gifts to get free gifts from a piñata. At midnight, when the church bells ring out, the brilliant Christmas star sends down showers of light. Some say that that if you look closer, you can see the form of a small angel with paper wings in the center of the light. Wow. Maybe you could see Pancho up there in the sky, because I think he became a real angel for being such a nice man that gave up his savings to make kids happy on Christmas Eve. The end. I hope you liked this story. Look at this illustration with Pancho as part of the star, raining down glitter from his star to bless others as he was blessed. So there you are, Pancho's Piñata. I hope you liked it. One of my favorite books. I hope if you're buying gifts for your children, please buy them books so they can begin to have a book collection. This will encourage them to read this book over and all the books that I've read, because they already are familiar with it, and it'll become familiar reading, easier to read, and they will practice their reading and become better readers. So there you go. Pancho's Piñata. I'm going to take a short break and come back to do it in Spanish for those of you that need it in Spanish or want to learn Spanish. Regreso en unos minutitos, una pausa, y regreso para decirles este cuento de la piñata de Pancho en español en unos minutitos. ¿Ok? Nos vemos en un ratito. ¿Ok? Adiós.